I think we're going to get started. I have already, I'm repeating myself for those who just joined. We will have a brief presentation about our program and the application process. But mostly we're hoping this is a time for you to ask questions of the leadership team, so that we're helpful to you as you make decisions about your application, or your eligibility, but we're open to all questions. Also wanted to note this is being recorded. We will post it on our website so that people who couldn't be here today are able to view it. So any questions you ask, keep that in mind, but people always learn from you asking questions. So, but if for any reason you're not comfortable asking a question and it's being recorded, please reach out to us individually, one of us, and we can answer your questions. Krista, do you want to move ahead for us? Thanks. So, our program leadership, most of us are here today on the call. I'm Meg Zeller from Cincinnati Children's. I'm research faculty and I'm the PI and director of the program. Also on the call is Dr. Moises Waman, who is the associate director of the program and actually can speak to our program, what it's like to be in our program, as he is a former Case Scholar graduate. And Krista Metz, who's our program director, and runs the show behind the scenes and in front sometimes too. She has a wealth of knowledge for you as you decide and make your plans about your application. Our CCTST has an MPI liaison for our program. That is Achala Vagal. And then Catherine Bowers is our Associate Director of Methods. She helps as the hub navigator, which Krista will explain a little bit more in a few minutes. You can advance. So what is the Case Scholars Program? It is the K Scholar Institutional K Award Program that is able to exist because we have a CTSA, which is called the Cincinnati Center for Clinical and Translational Science and Training. Our program is in full alignment with current NIH priorities. And we have a training mission that's broadly to develop the next generation of translational scientists and academic leaders through our formalized cross-disciplinary training in research skills necessary for designing and conducting innovative, programmatic, clinical and translational research, ultimately leading to better health outcomes for all people and communities. It is a mentored training step leading to a submission and receipt of an NIH career development grant, such as a K01, K08, K23s, or alternately, some people don't do a NIH career development grant and use this as their mentored career step towards their first R01 submission. Next slide. So the K Scholars Program has two types of funding, but the program is essentially the same for all the participants, with one exception at the bottom, which I'll get to. 2 scholars per year are funded by the award from the NIH. And because how CTAs set these awards up, there are often institutionally supported parallel programs, which we call the CT2 program, that's funded through institutional cost share, which allows us to have 2 additional scholars per year. So 2 scholars in each award, so 4 total new appointments each year. Those appointments are for 2 years. They provide 75% salary support up to a cap of 113.5 per year and fringe. If surgeons are applicants, that can be reduced to 50% salary support. You also are awarded $26,700 in research and career development costs to fund your research activities and career development activities. You are also assured a third year of salary supported by your division or department if you have submitted a K and an R and it has not yet been obtained. And there's a distinction in this current funding cycle where to be appointed to the K-12, the NIH award, a scholars research project cannot be a clinical trial, but someone who is doing a clinical trial can be supported by the cost share part of our program, the CT2 program. So we'll talk to you more about that as you apply. But essentially, two very, very similar lines of funding. Krista, go ahead. To be eligible to apply to our program, you must have a full-time faculty appointment at the rank of instructor or assistant professor at one of our institutions. It needs to be a research or health professional doctoral degree or the equivalent. Note that a current postdoctoral fellow may apply, but at this first LOI stage, there must be a letter from the hiring department or division stating when they're expected to be faculty, and that appointment is prior to and not contingent upon receipt of the award. So we notify awardees in March. So in this case, you would have to have a faculty appointment before that time. Applicants also must meet all the citizenship status requirements of NIH grants. So important things to think about if you're applying. And these are outlined by our program announcement. They aren't us deciding these need to be who we select, but we really are looking for early career investigators who will take full advantage of and benefit from a mentored and structured period of research-focused career development in clinical and translational science. For that reason, you can't have a pending application for a K already in process or an R level grant because we are preparing you to submit those grants. And they can't duplicate any of the aims of your application. And this is at any stage of our process. So we request other support documents at all stages of our application. And we define pending in a very broad sense. So it's a grant that may not even have been reviewed yet or scored or approved. Just essentially, you've sent a grant out and it's in the hands of external funding and is at some stage of consideration. And then, so also then, if you have any questions about this, because oftentimes applicants do, please reach out to us at any point as you're preparing an LOI. And if you move on to the full application, we're going to talk to you about it. Let us know because you can't duplicate your science in other grants. Also, you may be ineligible if you have any internal award pending. So Children's NUC have different mechanisms that duplicate aims of the proposed Case Scholar application. I know for a fact Children's has multiple early career awards. And so you need to choose which ones you want to apply for because we can't have you applying to ours and theirs at the same time. So please consult with us again for that reason. Moving to Moises now.
Yes. So in this slide, you will find some of the required scholar activities. So this is for those who start the K Scholars program. So there are mentored research experiences, which include, of course, completing the proposed K Scholar project. And then you are expected as a K Scholar to submit either a K or an R level award, usually during the second year of the award. Most of the times this is by the end, but the timeline is flexible based on when you feel ready. Then there is also a tailored career development activities to build program towards K or R NIH submission. And this is something that as you are building your career development, plans you will have the chance to include in the K application, and try to explain to us how these tailor activities will look like and how that will allow you to move from here to a K or an R submission in the future. Then just so everyone knows, is an expectation for K scholars to attend our regular meetings, which happen twice a month. We have an in-person meeting and a virtual meeting. They happen the first and the third Wednesday of each month, and it's usually from 10 to 11:30. And here our scholars get the chance to present their work in progress, which can be work in progress related to their K Scholars project, or to discuss specific aims for coming submissions, manuscript development, conference presentations, or any other topic that you would like to bring for peer discussion. And then there is also, in addition to space for work in progress presentations and discussions, there is somewhat of a curriculum, didactics related to career development, as well as clinical and translational sciences. And we bring previous scholars, former scholars, to come and talk to the group and share their real world experiences. There is required coursework through NCATS, and that is offered through UC CCHMC. We'll go through these on the next slide, but basically scientific integrity and team science. And these are 2 credit courses that are given every year at UC. And there is also an expectation for scholars to present at least once at the CCTST K Scholars Grant Round, so you can share some of the work you are doing with the institutions here in Cincinnati. And then also more at a national level, there is an expectation for scholars to attend the regular ACTS meeting, which happens once a year. ACTS stands for Association for Clinical and Translational Science. This meeting is usually in April. And most of the times, in terms of timeline, scholars tend to schedule these during their second year to submit some of the work that they have developed during the first year of their scholarship. And then there is also consideration, there is a competition out there during ACTS in a format that many of you are familiar with, a 3-minute thesis competition. And we usually have at least one scholar from our CCTST go and compete, and we have had finalists as well as winners of the 3MT activity at ACTS. And other opportunities during ACTS meeting include there is they put together a mock study section, which is very useful. There is a K and an R study section. And then there are other career development activities that happen through the course of the meeting. Next slide. So these are expectations for your primary mentor. And as you are working with your mentors, I'm sure that many of them are familiar with some of these expectations, but just to make sure, providing outstanding mentoring and be available for regular meetings. They serve as advocates, and they help you make sure that you have that 75% dedicated scholars time. Of course, we talked about this for surgeons is a minimum of 50%. Help you ensure that you have that third year of salary support if needed. There is a training requirement for your mentors, which is an 8-hour workshop that is provided both at UC and CCHMC, and they will know what we're talking about. And then there is also a mentor-scholar agreement and evaluations as expectations, attending progress meetings, which happen twice a year with the K Scholar program directors and the mentee. And then this is something new that we want to make sure that since you won't only have a primary mentor, but you will actually have a team of mentors, including your primary and other secondary or co-mentors, making sure that you as a group, as a mentoring team, there is at least one meeting per year, which you and your primary mentor will help coordinate with the co-mentors. Next slide. These outlines the required coursework. We talked about the collaboration and team science, which is a 2-credit course that is given in the spring semester. Scientific integrity is also 2 credits that happens during the summer. And then there is also clinical and translational science core concepts and foundation that is provided through the orientation when we are onboarding our new scholars. And then there is more of a self-paced modules through NIH on enhancing rigor and reproducibility. And then there is some information on the websites for matriculating into a graduate program, and the Office of the Registrar link are over there. Next one. And these are not required but encourage activities during the K Scholar time. We highly recommend additional opportunities that may enhance collaboration, career development, which are listed in there but are not limited to them. And one of those is at a national level, the KL2, K12 programs have a career development seminar series, and this is bi-monthly, and you will get the flyers so you can sign up on those. There is at a more regional level, we have a visiting scholar exchange program where you get a chance to go in person to either the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, or Ohio State University, and you may spend a day or two. You get to propose who are the faculty members, potential collaborators, potential mentors that you would like to meet with, and there is an application process. And this can happen during your first year or your second year during the award. So the National Career Development Series is more of a virtual opportunity at a national level, and then this other Visiting Scholars Exchange is a more regional, where you get to go to one of these other institutions, be able to interact with potential collaborators in the area. You get the chance to also present at either their grant rounds or other similar activities, so that can go into your CV as well. There is K Award College as well for those who are working towards a K. There are externship opportunities that you may be able to elaborate through a full application during the K, so you can tell us what maybe your ideas of potential externships that can go within a week or 2 weeks of a visit to a specific lab where you want to learn about X methodology, for example, or just spend some time with someone who you think, based on your career development plans, will provide critical mentorship during your K Scholars experience. And then there is grant rounds, which many of you may already be familiar with. They usually happen once a month, and they are available for scholars as well. And there are many other opportunities, so just stay tuned. There is Communicating Your Science Bootcamp, K-Day, Community Consultants, and Wellness Coaching coming up. And Krista.
Sorry, I had to find my unmute button. So this slide just goes over the letter of intent instructions, and we put a nice little table in the LOI RFA to sort of summarize what the expectations of what we're hoping to get from you as far as the package of letter of intent. So there's a face page that asks some information about you, your budget, and things of that nature. The LOI itself, where you will go over career development objectives, why you need this program. A mentorship team, we want to know, who are you looking to surround yourself with to help you become an independent investigator, bio sketches for the applicant and mentors, applicant other support, I get this question a lot. You do not need to put the other support in for your mentors, just your other support. A checklist, we want you to be a CCTSD member, a resource reference list that kind of goes over what the CCTSD could offer you if you're looking for additional resources. And then lastly, we ask that you submit it through CCAPS, which is our competition and awards program site. If you have any issues with putting your application in through CCAPS, feel free to contact me. I'm also more than willing to look and make sure that the elements of your LOI came through correctly. So if you want me to just check and say, hey, Krista, can you take a look, make sure everything looks okay in there, that I have all the elements. I obviously cannot comment on science or anything of that nature. I wouldn't be very helpful in that space either. But I can tell you if all the elements that you're required to have are there, and if you're missing anything, what you should add. As far as requesting services in Research Central, this is something that the CCTST has that we are going to be improving upon. But right now, we encourage folks to go to Research Central. It's a place you can get REDCap services and also services from us. If you're interested in learning more about our program, if you're a potential letter of intent applicant and you want to know more about it or what resources that you could include, this is a great place to go. We have a hub navigator that can introduce you to CCTST resources, and that is also a part of our program. So it also can give you some insight into that. We have the RFA listed there, a resource list. And then if you make it to the full application part of the competition, we will actually have you tailor make your resource list of what you could potentially use from the CCTST to incorporate into your research. They've got the program is amazing. The CCTST has a wealth of information and resources to give you, and we want to be able to have you utilize whatever you can to make your application stronger. And this is the K-Scholar application phase. We released the RFA in October. We're accepting letters of intent from October 27th to November 24th. After we get those LOIs, we will review those, and we will be sending notifications to be invited to the second stage of our competition, which is the full application phase. And we'll be letting people know that the week of December 15th. And then folks will have from December 22nd through February 18th to develop their full applications. A separate RFA will be given to those that are invited in the invitation that says that you're invited to the full application with instructions. And then finalists will be selected the week of March 30th, and we'll set up interviews with the directors. And we will also provide critiques and ask you to bring those critiques and respond to those critiques in that interview. And then after that, we will be awarding the week of April 6th. And folks that do not make it into the program will also receive their critiques as well. And then, as Megan Boyes has alluded to, it's a 2-year program. You would start June 1st of 26. And if you did not gain an independent R or K until the end of the program, you would go until May 31st. If you do end up getting a K or R early, you would leave the program and then go on to that independent award. And then this last slide just goes over some resources. We're happy to meet with you virtually. Meg and Moises would happy to meet with you virtually. You can reach out to me for details about the application process. The K-Scholar website lists current and prior awardees who can provide more information. Just let us know how we can help you.
We know that's a lot of information. Sorry. As you digest, how can we answer your questions that you have at this point?
Hi there, my name is Jacob Gordon. I'm a newer professor at the College of Nursing. And I have two questions. One is more about the application and sort of how you're weighting certain areas of it. So like in a NIHK, like for example, the training plan is more important than the research plan because the idea is mentorship training. And I'm curious, is that the same approach you take to reviewing applications? Like is the training component sort of that's weighted more than the research? And then I have a follow-up question after.
I think they're equally as important. What we often see, or what we can see, is an LOI that is heavy on the research plan and sort of makes a nod to, and I'll do some career development activities. And we're like, okay, no, we need you to think more about that. So we want to see, I mean, I always think of it that we want to see that you have a plan in place of what you need to write an NIH grant. What are those things that you can put in an LOI? Because, this program isn't the end of your career by any means. It's the first step, right? So what can you tell us in that first page, a one pager, that this is the science that I need to submit that next NIH grant, the next step? And these are the career development things I need to do to make me absolutely ready, the best I can be to submit that next grant. So I see it as equal. If it's 50-50 on the page, probably everyone leans towards the research to give a little more real estate to the research plan, but don't neglect the career development. So it might feel a little different than how you phrase the question, because you were thinking training needed to be first. I think it's 50-50, or tell us about your science too.
That's helpful.
Moises, please jump in if you see it differently.
No, I will agree, and they are both equally important. And in the LOI stage, it can be difficult, as Meg was mentioning. Of course, for the full application stage, you will have much more space to develop on. There will be a dedicated section for your career development plan, and then you will have a space for your science per se. So you have to hit both. I think they are equally important as you are developing. So yeah, I fully agree. And I think you have a follow-up question as well, Jacob. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. And another thing is, so I come from the College of Nursing and I do like population health. And when I look through past scholars, I see a lot of funding towards like, medicine and less so for behavioral research. And I also come from like a systems thinking approach. So I'm usually not looking at like individual level interventions and factors. And I was wondering sort of how open, like I know that my area of research is like NIH supported and like it's a priority area, so that's not so much the question. But when I look at other scholars like that have gotten these awards, I think like, oh, I'm not studying like diabetes and intervention implementation. I'm wondering sort of how broad are you when it comes to sort of the topic and subject area of research? So I think more like co-design of clinicians and parents and youth working together to think around like mental health issues, like these kind of more less individual level areas.
I'm going to jump, Moises, also because I'm a behavioral scientist. I think you would enjoy looking at NCATS, their website, directly, and see how they define translational science and how people are at different phases of how we're going to get more treatments to more people faster. And that includes population health. So you're at the right place.
Great. Thank you for your time.
All right. Can I ask questions? So my name is Amit, and I am currently a research scientist in internal medicine and nephrology. But since September, they have started the paperwork and process of transitioning me to an instructor position. And they are hopeful that it should be complete by the beginning of 2026, by Jan 1st, 2026. So the process is going, and for this, our division director will give a letter of support, that this is going on and everything, as you said, for the eligibility. So my question is regarding the mentorship team. So I have a primary mentor, but how many people do you recommend are usually on the mentorship team? And like, is there a set number as to how many people should be, or like what do people usually do? And secondly, for someone to be on a mentorship team, do they have to be like senior people, like associate professor or higher? or somebody whose interests align with mine, but they are at an assistant professor level could also be a mentor for me. So this was my question.
Moises, do you want to take it? And Michael, I do
Yeah.
see your hand raised. You'll be next.
Yeah, very good questions. So I don't think there is a magic number. Definitely, we are past those times when there was one mentor, a primary mentor, and that was it. So we're now more focused on mentoring teams, and I think it's going to depend on your specific career development plans, depending on which are the areas where you want to get training and mentorship. I think you need expertise in every of those major areas. Sometimes that means having 2, 3, 4 people. You do need to identify a primary mentor who will be the person who orchestrates all the mentoring activities and who is more in the week to week, day to day kind of checking out with you on your progress. But yeah, I don't think there is a magic number, but I will encourage you to look at this based on what your career development expectations and plans are. And then in terms of it's a very good question in terms of what is the ideal profile of your mentors, right? And I think over there, everything is a free game. Of course, you want, since you are getting the training, to then be a successful independent NIH, for example, sponsored investigator. So most of the times that means that you may want to have as your primary mentor someone who is currently NIH funded, who has a track record of an independent research program, and who has some record of having mentored, right, successfully other trainees. Now, your co-mentors sometimes is the requirements may be more specific towards the area where they will be mentoring you on, as long as they can show that they seem to be the right person to mentor you on X methodology or approach to your research, then that makes sense. I will have the other thing that I will suggest, though, is if you identify colleagues who are in an earlier stage of their careers, you can also consider collaborators. They all do not need to be your mentors, right? They can work with you, collaborate with you on a specific aspect of your research, but not necessarily be take the role of a mentor. If you think that could be seen as a red flag, because we're not the only ones who review, right? You will go to the review process is it's comprehensive, and your science will be reviewed by faculty members who will look at your mentoring team from different perspectives, right? So you do have the chance to have collaborators as well. And I think that someone who is earlier in their careers may be more suitable on that role, as opposed to being a primary or a secondary mentor. Just some thoughts from my side. I don't know, Meg, what you think.
No, I agree with what you said, and I think I'm going to give 2 examples of when someone on the mentoring team isn't the heavy hitter, NIH funded, long history of funding, because you need that too. But I'm thinking of a current scholar who is a pharmacy scientist. She's not a physician, pharmacy, and she's learning about a pediatric disease. She is not trained in pediatrics necessarily. And so the leader at our institutions for this particular pediatric disease is not a heavily funded NIH researcher, but they run the clinic in that particular population. And so they're an important mentor to teach her about this disease and how patients and families work. It's a great mentor to have, but she has other people on her team. In the same way, if there's a particular skill more on a bench side that you need, and there's a more junior person in that lab that you're going to go work with because they hold the expertise in doing that, it's just completely appropriate to list them. What's nice at the LOI stage is we ask you to put together an initial mentoring team, your ideas of who could be on that mentoring team. You can, if you're invited for a full, you can add to that or replace people because you met someone along the way. We just want you to start thinking about, I have a team. Who's the team? Because most of the work we do is done on teams. So you're creating the team that's going to help you write a K or an R in the next few years. All right, Micah,
Thank
you've
you.
been very patient.
I just had a quick question. Does this in any way conflict with the NIH loan repayment program applications? I can't see how it would, but I just wanted to confirm.
But thank you for saying that out loud, because we should probably include that as one of our, in case you're wondering, no, it doesn't, so that it's clear. I hadn't thought about that. That's a great question.
If nobody's asking, can I ask another question?
Of course.
So regarding the scholarly activities, so I do research on immune system, immunology. So the American Association for Immunology, they have courses every year, like for advanced immunology training and everything. So would that through associations or American Association for Cancer Research also conducts courses? So could those be considered as scholarly activities?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard because, and you could hear scholars answer that because it's like, yeah, I have the meetings I want to go to, I have the meetings I have to go to, and then you're asking me to go to another one, ACTS?
No,
It's
these
like,
are not
yes.
meetings. These are classes. They have
Oh,
coursework.
classes. Okay.
Yeah,
But
these are
yes,
like they offer courses in advanced immunology, clinical immunology, computational immunology, that kind of stuff. So
yes,
these are intense 12-hour days for 3 days, classes.
Yeah.
build it in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's completely fine. And as you as you are developing your proposals, you also try to put yourself on the reviewer's perspective, right? Just try to make sure that you identify, and it's very well outlined, what are the gaps? What are the gaps in terms of your either skills, knowledge, etc., that by the time you are able to fill those gaps, you will be ready to take the next step in your career trajectory, right? This is what I need so I can then put together my next K or my first R01. So making sure that you can identify those gaps, that there is no room for a reviewer to say, why is this person taking all this coursework that, they are already doing what they are proposing to learn, right? So make sure that there is no room for that by identifying clearly what your gaps are. Yeah. And that goes for coursework as well.
Just
Thank you.
to clarify what I believe you've already said is that if we, for example, have already background in research and have done a bunch of coursework, that if we put the career development plan in place of more of like, for example, like bench skills or certain techniques, as long as it fits with the long-term goal, then that's great.
Every application looks different because you're all different. These are great questions.
If there's one thing that you feel like is the biggest gap or mistake or things you wish you saw in your application, what would it be?
Huh.
I would say connection to the program, connection to what the program offers.
Thank you,
Yep.
Krista.
Welcome. I think a lot of people, the protected time is valuable, but it's a program for us. So we want you to engage in the programmatic aspects of what we can offer you, not just the protected time. We have didactics and things that are going to help improve your career development and get you, hopefully faster on track into better applications and things of that nature. So connection to the program would be what I would say.
And anecdotally, but also because it's hard to put this in an application. If our scholars were on the call, and maybe we should do that in the future, include a scholar on the call, other than Moises, he graduated a long time ago, is the peer culture that gets created. So there's 8 scholars on the award at any time. And then add the third year scholars, there's 12 people coming together twice a month to talk about their research, their challenges, their families. And, always at the beginning of the year, training year, I'm like, all right, they're not talking to each other. And then as we move on, it's like, okay, we don't even need to be here. Like they're talking to each other, everyone's checking in, and the meetings somewhat run themselves because it's about the group. So some people really like that. Other people, protected time, like that's what I need. I don't have time for the peer stuff. This is very, very much a peer-based program. I'm not trying to convince you not to apply. I'm just encouraging you to know coming in that it's about everyone working together to help each other.
Yeah, and I will comment one of the points that comes to my mind that reviewers may have brought up on previous applications, just in general, is this is somewhat of a unique program in the sense that if you think about a traditional NIHK, you usually put together a career development plan that goes 4 or 5 years, right? We're talking about 2 to 3 years. So just be careful with that. You don't need to be, or just be careful to not put together something that could be seen as overambitious. You have to be clear and convince the reviewers that this is what you need to then take you to whatever your next goal is, either a K or an R. And as long as you're able to convince the reviewers to do that, we don't want you to be putting all the coursework that you can think about, or all the, even in the science piece. There is only so much that you can do in 2 to 3 years, right? But just put that in perspective of what your next step is going to be. And don't feel that you have to put together a plan that was supposed to be for 4 to 5 years into just 2 to 3 years. We understand, and I think reviewers understand what the timeline is. And you want to make sure that everyone sees your plans as feasible. And that they align with the program, and that you will take advantage of all the resources that are available. So therefore, you are uniquely positioned to take the most advantage of those 2 to 3 years, and then move on to your next step. Yeah.
And I'm going to hop on what Moises just said. We know writing a one-pager is really hard. We know that. And so, and we're telling you more and more things you should put in your application, and you're going, how am I supposed to do this? Use your bio sketch, personal statement to tell us, just be strategic. Like, don't waste a lot of space in the LOI telling us about your education. It's in the biosketch. As detailed in my biosketch, I am a physician scientist with expertise in blah, 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 blah. And you can't tell the whole story, but the biosketch can tell you who you are and how things fit together in a little more sort of personal way, right? So don't forget about perfecting that biosketch personal statement and getting feedback on that from people. And we ultimately hope, and you know, especially we hope the LOI process, but also if you move ahead to a full application, we want you to learn about how to write a career development award, and how to talk about yourself and give you practice in doing that, so that if not this program, you had a good learning experience that you can apply it to a different award. We're very invested in your review process. Try and educate you as you go.
Who are the reviewers? It's quite the variety of applicants that you guys have.
I don't even know how to best succinctly say it. We look at expertise in your area, but we try to find someone who doesn't necessarily work with you in that area or isn't your mentor's best friend, or you know what I mean? But it's hard because while we're a big academic health center, um, we're small too. So it's finding people who we think who are good scientists, who would appreciate your science, who doesn't have a conflict of interest somehow. If you have ideas, like if we get stumped, I will tell you this, maybe I shouldn't, but if we get stumped, sometimes we reach out to mentors saying, hey, we're looking for someone who wouldn't have a conflict of interest. We've like been tapped out at UC or Children's, do you have any other ideas? Or we might reach out we have an advisory committee and seek their advice of who to ask. Because we want you to have strong reviewers. But just like an NIH review, they may not have the expertise in the area you really want them to have. So, well, we are available at any point to meet, to talk about we can't give you, scientific direction necessarily but we will if you're like going, I'm newer to the institution, I don't know people as well, I'm looking for a mentor in this area. We could potentially connect you with the right people to talk with about that. We know it's hard if you're newer to the institution.